Okay, welcome to this video on transformations. Okay, and in this one we're looking particularly at enlargements that are negative and or fractional. Okay, so the first one is we've got to describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape C. Okay, so that's up here. Well, what we can do first is draw in some ray lines. Okay, now what these are is faint lines, usually you do them in pencil, to find certain bits of information that you need to describe the enlargement. And the ray lines go through corresponding points on both the shapes. Okay, so usually I just take two or possibly three, and I'm going to take each end of the hypotenuse of that triangle. And you should find that where they cross over, okay, as you can see that point there, that's what we call the center of enlargement. If I took another line from that point, it would join together the bottom left-hand corner of C and the bottom left-hand corner of A. Okay, I could draw that in just to illustrate what's going on here. Okay, and they should all converge at the same point if one of them is a proper enlargement of the other. Okay, now what we do is, I'll just take that last one out because generally just do two of them because otherwise it gets a bit cluttered up. So this point here is called the center of enlargement. Okay, and I'll just make a note of what that is here. So that's clearly the point with coordinates 7, 7 as it happens. Okay, so that's called the center of enlargement. And the scale factor is basically what have you multiplied shape A by to get shape C? Well, because it's become smaller, it's a fractional scale factor less than 1, okay? And in fact, you can see that shape C is half the size of shape A because that's got a base of 4, this has got a base of 2. That's got a height of 2, this has got a height of 1, okay? So it's scale factor a half, center 7, 7. So I describe it fully like this. Enlargement, okay? You must use that word. Okay, there's one of 4 words you can use to describe a transformation. Okay, it's either a rotation, a reflection, an enlargement, or a translation. So this is an enlargement, scale factor a half, okay, or 0.5, and the center, okay, of enlargement is the point 7, 7. Now, it's an unusual use of the word center because the center has got nothing to do with being in the middle of the shape, but it's this kind of vanishing point where these ray lines converge. And what you'll notice is because the scale factor is a half, C is half the distance away from this point as A is. Okay, so that's the first question done. Now, B to A is also an enlargement, but the shape has also become inverted. Okay, so I'll show you exactly how this works. So let's do this one in a different color. Okay, so B to A is an enlargement. Okay, enlargement, and the scale factor we'll come to in a minute. Let's just draw in the ray lines first of all. Okay, so I'm going to take the lines and I'm going to take, I think what I'm going to do is take out the, or certainly reduce the ray lines here so they're not so obvious. Okay, so I make them dashed lines. When you do these, you tend to make them very faint. Okay, otherwise the diagram just gets a bit too cluttered up. Now I'm going to go back to the green pen and do the ray lines for this one. So I'm going from the sharp point of the triangle there to the sharp point of the triangle there. Okay, and then I'm going from the right angle here to the right angle here. Okay, so I've taken 2 ray lines, and that's enough for me to see where the center of enlargement is. Okay, so what I've done is, I'll just do the same as I did with the other one, just to make a bit more, make it a bit easier to see what's going on. Okay, so the ray lines are faint lines that show where the centre of enlargement is. So the first thing I can do is see that the centre of this one is at the point 5,1. Okay, 5,1. I'll just make a note of that. Okay, and the scale factor, well, to go from B to A, okay, from B to A, what scale factor is it? Well, this is 6 and this is 4, okay, which is 2/3 of 6. The height of this is 3, the height of this one is 2, which is 2/3. So the scale factor, and remember we're going from B to A, the scale factor is negative 2/3. Okay, now the reason it's negative is because the shape has become inverted. Okay, and the center is 5,1. So you can think of it like this. The shape B goes right through this vanishing point, if you like, and inverts itself and comes out the other side. That's why it becomes a negative scale factor. Okay, and because it's 2/3 of the size that it was when it was over here, that's where it's the 2/3 comes from. Okay, now if you were to go the other way round from A to B, okay, I'll do this in blue just to, although it'll be the same ray lines as we've just used, okay, but if you're going from A to B, okay, that's also going to be an enlargement. It's also going to have the same center, but what's going to be different is the scale factor, because to go from A to B, you're making it 1.5 times bigger, because you're going from 4 up to 6, or from 2 up to 3. So the scale factor is 1.5, but it's negative again, because it's still becoming inverted. So you can either write it as -3/2 or -1.5. It doesn't matter. We tend to prefer fractions. So scale factor -3/2, and the center is the same point as before. Okay. Now people get confused with negative and fractional. Okay, they think if something gets smaller, like this first one here, you quite often see people write the scale factor is -2 when they mean a half. Okay, so if something gets smaller, it becomes a fraction between 0 and 1. Okay, if it becomes inverted, then the scale factor has a negative sign on it. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Take care.